There are lives that begin in silence, far from the noise of cameras, away from spotlights and crowds applauding. There are paths that don't seem destined for fame, that unfold between simple routines, school hallways, and humble jobs, and yet, somehow, they find a way to rise and astonish the world. This is the story of a young woman who knew from an early age that there were no limits to her determination, a young lady who, with a clear mind and a steady gaze, decided to write her own destiny and transform it into something greater than herself. The tale of this famous actress doesn't start among lights and catwalks, but in a quiet corner of Ohio, where life moved at a different pace, and where dreaming often seemed like a luxury reserved for a chosen few. But from her earliest years, those who knew her recognized something special. A sharp intelligence, a rare calmness for her age, and a profound desire to explore a world far beyond what her environment had to offer. At just 16 years old, an age when many are only beginning to sketch the outlines of their identity, this young lady had already graduated from high school. She was a teenager with a maturity that stood out against the conventional backdrops of her generation. She briefly attended George Mason University with the firm intention of becoming a surgical assistant. Her interest in medicine wasn't accidental. She had always been deeply fascinated by precision, detail, and the opportunity to help others in their most vulnerable moments. At that age, while others were still searching for themselves, she had already explored several professional paths, aware that the road to success is neither straight nor easy. Before her face became known to millions, she lived like so many others, working. She spent her days in a vegetable store and later behind the counter at a Starbucks cafe. And though these may seem like ordinary jobs, they shaped her, taught her discipline, empathy, how to connect with people, and the dignity of earning every dollar with effort and perseverance. It was precisely that life experience that began to shape a complex and fascinating personality, a blend of sweetness and strength, of sensitivity and courage. And when the time came to choose her stage name, she didn't hesitate to add a touch of fantasy and symbolism. She drew inspiration from one of the most iconic characters of modern animation, the Ice Queen from a children's movie, symbolizing power, independence, and magic. The name she chose echoed with the innocence of fairy tales, but also with the strength of someone brave enough to be different. That detail, seemingly simple, speaks volumes about her talent for crafting an identity, her love for symbolism, and her ability to play with perceptions while remaining authentic. Since then, every appearance of hers has been analyzed, admired, shared, and discussed. But behind every photo shoot, behind every elegant pose, lies a personal story rich in nuance. One of the actress's most distinctive features is her tattoos. On her right shoulder, she bears a gray rose, and on her left hip, a more colorful one. Though she has never fully explained their meanings, it's clear they represent deeply personal moments or emotions. In a world where image is everything, her tattoos act as silent symbols of experiences she chooses not to narrate in words, but that she carries with her always. They are marks she doesn't hide, but wears proudly, like someone walking through life knowing that every scar, visible or not, is part of her identity. Another side of her humanity is revealed through her unconditional love for animals, especially dogs. More than once, she has shared photos with her pets, exuding a tenderness that transcends the screen. This bond with beings who cannot speak, but feel so intensely, reveals a sensitive woman with a genuine connection to life beyond the limelight. In an industry often seen as superficial, she proves that affection, kindness, and care remain essential parts of her essence. Her growth on social media has been remarkable, but far from accidental. Every post, every photo, every story is carefully chosen not just to showcase beauty, but to convey emotion. Today, with over 2 million followers on just one of her platforms, this model has become a figure who transcends mere aesthetics. Many follow her for her flawless appearance, yes, but just as many are drawn by the enigmatic blend of strength and vulnerability she radiates. Despite her fame, she has never stopped showing the authenticity that sets her apart. She shares simple moments, a walk, a spontaneous laugh, or a quiet afternoon at home. And it's there, in that authenticity, that her true power lies. Because in a world saturated with filters and poses, she has managed to balance the perfection of her image with the sincerity of her heart. In November 2021, the actress made a decision that surprised many. She announced her retirement from her primary occupation to dedicate herself to content creation on a more personal platform. This was not merely a career shift, it was a demonstration of emotional intelligence. She understood that to grow, you don't always have to climb higher, sometimes, you have to redirect your path, take control, and decide who you truly want to be. Through this new medium, she continued offering content to her audience, but with greater autonomy, authenticity, and creative freedom. This choice shows that her ambition isn't tied to a single model of success, but to her personal well-being, her ability to reinvent herself and explore new forms of expression. Her life reminds us that no matter how high you rise, you should always have the power to decide what to do with your time, your body, and your energy. In that sense, she has become a symbol not only of beauty, but of autonomy, awareness, and personal evolution. The path this young woman has walked leaves us with many lessons. From her early days as an academically gifted student, through modest jobs that forged her character, to becoming an internationally recognized figure, her life is a celebration of persistence and authenticity. There is nothing artificial about her story, because everything she has built comes from real choices, hard-earned lessons, mistakes overcome, and inner battles that may go unseen but leave lasting marks. And that is perhaps what inspires the most admiration. Behind such a perfect image lies a real woman, one who has loved, lost, won, and grown. A woman still in motion, unafraid of change, and able to find beauty even in the unexpected. If you've made it this far, it's because you, too, feel a connection to true stories, to the journeys that inspire, to the people who, without meaning to, teach us something. So don't leave without sharing your thoughts in the comments, without passing on this story to someone you'd like to inspire, and of course, without subscribing to continue discovering, together, the most captivating lives of our time. Thank you for joining us on this journey filled with detail, emotion, and insight. Because in every story like this, we don't just learn about others, we also learn about ourselves. And perhaps what truly defines her legacy isn't just what she has accomplished, but how she has made people feel. In the silence of a shared look, in the pause between words, her essence lingers, subtle but unforgettable. She has shown that success can be quiet, that resilience often wears a gentle face, and that real strength lies in vulnerability. Her story continues to unfold, not just in new posts or appearances, but in the hearts of those who've been touched by her presence. Each chapter she writes now is more than a performance, it is a reflection of her courage to live honestly, to embrace uncertainty, and to keep growing without fear. We remain eager to witness what comes next, not out of curiosity, but admiration. Because when someone dares to live with such purpose, the world cannot help but take notice.